next match of the day, which is Fr0zen versus Amnesiac. Both these players are tied currently in Division B, so this is a big one for them because they can kind of secure their playoff spots. I don't think it's guaranteed because of the way the bottom of the division works. If they lose out after today, there's still 2 players that can catch them on the other side. But it would give them some wiggle room and also knock one of their opponents down, their main opponents, for fighting for the playoff spot. So. I'm curious to see this one because Amnesiac has been on an absolute tear. He did interrupt his win streak earlier on, where he started off the season 1-4, won 5 in a row to make it to 6-4, but then lost his last match to go down to 6-5. So we'll see if he can continue the dominance he had in the mid half of the season and make up for the loss that he had earlier this weekend.
Yeah, and slightly different lineups, but similar pick and ban strategy. There were priests being protected on both sides and druids being banned on both sides. Fr0zen has the Malagos druid, though, where Amnesiac just has the normie druid, and Fr0zen also has the Highlander mage in his lineup, which is in place of Amnesiac's Quest Shaman.
So there is some room for Fr0zen to kind of break the mold here a little bit, and maybe queue a mage game 1.
If you have faith in the priest win rate?
If you have faith in the priest win rate.
Yeah.
Or you can just say, I'm going to play the priest mirror, and if I lose, then I just have priest to be able to beat you again, and then mage versus whatever else you play.
Right.
And if I lose, then I get to play or if I win, I get to play my mage into your priest anyway.
Yeah. I'm not, quite convinced how favorable the mage matchup actually is. Like, for example, Firebat was tweeting, we talked a lot about the matchup he lost. Now he didn't have silence for the Doomsayer because he had to use it because of the mind control tech that happened. He was saying, it was like 25% that I was going to lose the best outcome for my opponent on the mind control tech, plus like 10% that he has Frost Nova Doomsayer by that point. Like, both of those things had to line up for me to lose the game in that position. It doesn't sound like you're put in a too favorable position, but it's worth mentioning that, Firebat did also get off to a pretty good start that game, but Priest usually does get off to a pretty good start. When you play 6 1-drops in your deck, you quite often get off to a pretty good start.
That's a great point. Great point. Can't argue with that. Fr0zen's going to go the opposite way and say no mage. Instead, I'm going to try and throw you a curveball with Warrior as my game 1 queue. So gets a quote-unquote good matchup. Oof. Well, when you put it that way, it's very good.
That is not the hand we're looking for, if you're a fan of the young Savage one. You know what? I don't want to even want to call him that anymore. I'm going to say it. Amnesiac's gone soft. He's not the young Savage anymore.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Ever since he's gone to college, he's just worried about other things.
I know. He actually has respect for other people now. What is that?
Unfortunate. As you get older, you learn that there's consequences for your actions. But I do miss those days. I missed that 3-year span where Amnesiac was 16 years old. Well, if that Town Crier wasn't played, I might have just gone in.
Must consider.
Start hitting your opponent with a 4/4.
Yeah.
Nice.
What else are you going to do?
No, I've played this game before, TJ. What you do is you play the Beaming Sidekick, and then you always draw Divine Spirit the next turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Amnesiac, clearly from the TJ Sanders school of playing Priest.
I can wait no longer. Wrong card, but still fits. The reason why I said I would do this play if there wasn't a Town Crier played was because now if you don't pick up literally anything in your deck that buffs the health of this Beaming Sidekick out of range of anything,
Right.
it just dies to a Restless Mummy.
Restless Mummy is a 1-2 punch on the next turn, yeah, because of the 1-2 in play. I was thinking about the Warpath and like what that meant, for example, if Amnesiac wants to play an injured Blade Master this turn, but he can't do that anyway because of the 1-2. So it's a good hold from Fr0zen. And now this 4-4 is going to bite the dust. And the Psychopomp follow-up is not looking pretty. I mean, follow-up question, does Fr0zen care? Do you even need to coin Restless Mummy this? Like, Warrior would not coin Restless Mummy this board against any other class in the game. Like, you just wouldn't. Kind of respect this. You've fallen silent, TJ.
Yeah. No, I'm just
Deep
thinking.
in thought.
Because this is a setup for Warpath if Psychopomp were to come out.
Yep.
Hey, I got you, friend.
And Warpath can be a tougher card to use as the game progresses because, you know, past turn 4, you think you're dealing with like 7 health minions.
He does currently only have Warpath Plague for his anti-Armet strategy, though.
Or you can do this.
You can draw Harrison Jones. That solves a lot of problems, yeah. But yeah, I would have been curious that without the Harrison draw, whether that would have been a Restless Mummy turn or a Warpath turn for Fr0zen, because he has that Plague of Flames in his hand. But now he's drawn Brawl, he's much more free to use Warpath as a standalone removal.
Ooh. This is a good amount of draw for Amnesiac, though. He can bump with the Beaming Sidekick, Northshire Cleric, Injured Blade Master, draw 3 cards with Circle of Healing.
Yes.
Hey, I got you, friend. Is someone injured?
Well, that Bonsamdi looks like a good draw, but only a pair of Light Wardens still left in the deck as 1-drops.
I think I'd still play War Golem if it drew 2 cards.
Quickly. Even if you knew they were Light Wardens?
Especially if I knew they were Light Wardens.
Don't know if I want to call that a punish from Fr0zen's perspective, because he still has a ton of removal available to him.
It's kind of the point I was getting to, right? When I was saying, like, you wouldn't coin Restless Mummy this against any other class in the game. It's like, you don't have to panic when your hand's this good. Like, maybe if you do just start overextending into everything, a draw like this where, you know, they have Nausea Cleric into a huge draw cards, into Bomb Samdi, into a huge draw cards, into the Armet board, like, maybe that board just ends up outvaluing you at that point and you run out of removal because you've thrown away so much key removal in the early game. I think Fr0zen was in a very, very strong position because Amnesiac's start was so weak. And I think, honestly, part of going in there with the Inner Fire on the 4-4 from Amnesiac is to try and make Fr0zen panic and overreact to some of that board state. So I think Fr0zen's played it very well up to this point.
In a weird way, though, by, like, being, I don't even want to call it greedy, by being smart in this case.
Yeah.
It did open up the opportunity for Amnesiac to get additional cards, right? Because if he just kept control of the board and just removed everything,
sure.
It would have been like 1 card from Russia.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't think that makes much of a difference. I do think that this just seems like the correct line. I mean, he's staring at a 4/7, and he's got Plague of Wrath, the double Restless Mummy, Brawl, Warpath,
Armagadillo with Hecklebot and Tomb Warden in hand.
I wasn't even going to mention that because he doesn't even need it.
Quickly.
In the light's name.
Awkward looking board state. That Power Word Shield coming down on the Northshire Cleric. make life just a little bit awkward.
You can get value out of Brawl here. I was also thinking Restless Mummy. Brawl's this turn. Next turn can follow up with Warpath Plague of Wrath if Amnesiac kind of sniffs that Fr0zen is out of removal. Light Warden draw. All right, would you play a War Golem that draws one Light Warden guaranteed?
No, we've hit the tipping point. We've nerfed the Ancient of Lore. It only draws one card now. I'm not playing it.
Okay.
Yeah. That Shield Slam's pretty clutch here as well.
This is... He's going to win the game without just ever using Restless Mummy.
It's a really important pickup, right? Because you don't want to use your one remaining AoE there and then have your opponent have that card in their hand alongside the one drop that they've just drawn.
Yeah. I mean, this is a very intelligent game for Fr0zen. He knows with that kind of start what Amnesiac's power points are.
Yeah.
And he's kind of got checks to, you know, each worst case scenario that could come up.
I wonder.
Which I think may not be the case for a lot of players in this same position. I would have 0 Restless Mummies in hand. A little bit more health, to be fair.
Sure, yeah.
But also slightly less percentage points to win the game.
You'd be at 37 instead of 31. Oh, incredible.
Yep. Would there have been a way for Fr0zen to die this turn?
Not too quickly.
He's just out of health buffs. He's played both Beaming Sidekicks and a Power Word Shield. Like heal, Power Word Shield.
So yes, like technically
Double Divine Spirit.
Yeah.
Interfire.
Yep. It's 36.
It would be 36. All right. Yep, there's the Plague of Wrath, and I think that'll do it.
Yeah, I think we're done here. Turn the lights off on your way out.
You have best.
Excellently timed, Amnesiac. It's as if you're listening to me. Well done.
Fr0zen takes game 1. It's rewarded for the Warrior Q over Priest in a nice clean game to start things off. You know, and that, I like that curveball thrown. Players get into the rhythm of, yep, we expect it. Gonna protect Priest, Q Priest game 1. If you have confidence that you can beat Priest with a couple of your decks, you can throw that curveball and get rewarded for it. And I think that's what happened here with Fr0zen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be most common with Warrior because Warrior isn't a deck that's in your lineup with a big glaring beacon over the top of it that says, this is my counter Priest deck. It's just like a good deck that's in your lineup that has a decent matchup against Priest, slightly either side of 50-50, depending on who you're talking to. So it's the one that you can throw in as a curveball, because I think if you want to actually dig into the mind games, if you were to bring a deck that literally just had like 13 Mossy Horrors and 12 Silences and a bunch of one-drops in it, right? And like, this is my counter Priest deck, someone's going to look at your pick ban strategy. Well, they're probably going to queue that deck first because they think that I'm going to queue Priest, and then like you can get away from it.
Yeah.
But in that situation, like, all right, I'm going to queue Priest. My opponent's probably going to queue Priest. That is the spot where just to stop being like Nash Equilibrium gamed, you should do something different every week just to try and like throw your opponent off. So I respect that from Fr0zen. I think what I definitely respect is just how well he played in that position. 2 Restless Mummies to spare, an Armagadillo to spare, a Tomb Warden to spare. Like, the Plague of Wrath was just all he needed in the end to get over that line after he fought through the early game.
Yeah, very nicely done from Fr0zen. He takes 1-0 lead in the series, which means we're going to have to go to a quick break. But don't go anywhere. Plenty more action to come here at America's Grandmasters. Don't go anywhere.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient Plague Lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have
have them right where I want them.
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The scales of justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend.
In the face! Yeah! Hey, guys! Get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry.
Not to worry, Finley. We just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap! Watch out!
It's all good. I am totally tired.
Gracious me.
What we actually need to do is press this. And there. A fish.
No, it's the scales of justice.
Oh. Ah, who wants to use it first?
Oh, I do! Me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
Hi, I'm Monsanto. I came up with the username Monsanto. I was in high school. It's from the company Monsanto, the big evil corporation. One of my teachers hated that company so much that at the end of the year he told us, well, if you didn't learn anything from my class, it's okay, as long as you remember that you should hate Monsanto. And that was like such a big thing to hear from your teacher, and I just immediately changed all my usernames to Monsanto. My best Hearthstone Esports memory was in 2016 in summer prelims. I was facing Dude 7597. I was completely losing on board as Druid against the Zoo Warlock. I had played 5 spells during the game, then I jammed the Yogg-Saron. It cleared his board, built myself a board, and the next turn I had double Savage War for lethal. What makes me special as a player, I think, is I try everything. I try every possibility in decks. I try new things. And so when there's something that went under the radar, there's a big chance that I actually found it and I can bring that deck. Being in Grandmasters means a lot to me. Being able to just compete another full year of Hearthstone, that was a really big thing for me. I want to win the whole thing. That's my personal goal.
Fr0zen currently leads Amnesiac 1-0 in the second series of the day. I'm TJ, joined by Simon Sottle-Welch. And you know what? I'm a happy camper today.
Why is that, TJ?
Get to roll up here, cast some Hearthstone with Sottle in his stark white tie and red shirt. It's just great.
I love the enthusiasm. I'm happy to be here as well, TJ. And I know you are particularly excited about this matchup that we're about to play, because it's one that we have tested a lot amongst ourselves. We felt forced into doing so because it's the one anomaly in Grandmasters in terms of it's not just Priest wins forehead. Like, it's actually a competitive matchup that Mage seems to have the better side of. And in our testing, we really couldn't replicate that with any consistency. It was a decent matchup. We went fairly 50-50, but it was not the Mage favorite that we've seen in the small sample size that we've had so far in Grandmasters.
Yeah, that's right. I think our testing was... Even though we tested it a lot, I still felt like I had no idea. Because there were times where I just died.
Yes.
I was the mage.
Yeah, we always try and do that. You know, we'll play a few games and like, all right, what have we learned? And like, oh, what have we learned? So you're just like, Reno's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. Reno the Relicologist is a good card. That's what I learned after all that. And I knew that already.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I learned something that I already knew, and I didn't even think that was possible. But the Mage does have a lot of tools to try and fight this early game. There's not as many in Fr0zen's deck. There's no Ironbeak Owl, but there is the Mossy Horror, which, as you know, we got the word from Muzzy after his winner's interview that it actually is really good. I had a conversation and I saw some things on Twitter that were kind of questioning the inclusion because, like, in an open deckless environment, because you have a lot of opportunities to play around it, and if they have to spend 6 mana, like remove 1 minion, then it's rough. But I think with Highlander Mage, you have so much insurance outside of that. And as is always the meme,
I wonder.
in a Highlander deck, since they only have one,
Yeah.
you don't play around it.
Right. I think also on the flip side, when you're playing a Highlander deck, you know, when you're putting a tech card in your deck, it's fighting for the position of like the 28th, 29th, or 30th best card in your deck, right? When you're playing a Highlander deck, the card quality of your 28th, 29th, and 30th best cards
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's a lot lower than it is in a regular deck. So cutting one of those cards for a tech card that can potentially have a big upside in a certain matchup is a lot more appealing. Amnesiac chose to go Topsy-Turvy instead of Silence to kill that Doomsayer, which you might question why, because Topsy-Turvy can actually be used as an offensive tool for him, whereas Silence can't really do so. I'd say the #1 reason is that he doesn't want to get hit with the RDU, which is the Zephyrus into Inner Fire on the Silence Doomsayer. Secondary considerations is you get your minions frozen a lot in this matchup.
Yeah.
So Silence can be very effective for pushing damage. You can still get a Divine Spirit Inner Fire lethal through after silencing one of your own minions if it's, for example, an injured Blade Master or Armet that had a lot of health to begin with.
Fr0zen kind of continuing his trend from game 1 of not overreacting to things on the board. Being exceptionally greedy with this Frostbolt, which is going to force a lot of resources out of Amnesiac, and this is kind of the Silence usage we're talking about. Silence is such a key card in the matchup. Doomsayer's gone, so you have more wiggle room to use it, but with your minions being frozen and having a couple key turns where Silence could give you lethal in a situation where you otherwise wouldn't have it. But again, Fr0zen being rewarded for not overreacting.
Yep.
Forces a Divine Spirit and a Silence out of Amnesiac.
I was going to say, like, Fr0zen really needs to be convinced to kill a minion, because that turn passed back to him, and for more than a millisecond, he thought about the idea of maybe not Frostbolting that turn, and then went, all right, fine, I'll Frostbolt ping. What he did not think for more than a millisecond about, though, was polymorphing that High Priest Armet.
Oh, yeah.
Pain, speak
That's a
to
good
me.
one. Amnesiac, the one shining light at the end of all this is that he has Bonsamdi to fall back on, with only a Light Warden being drawn in that 1 mana slot. But now has to worry about Zephyrus. It's a Seamont picked up for Fr0zen, but Zephyrus has to be on his mind when making these plays. And he might be in a position now where he kind of has to ignore the possibility to an extent of Zephyrus.
He does, yeah. Weirdly, this Tiamat is almost worse. Because Evocation's in hand, he can Divine Shield rush the Tiamat into the Bonsamdi next turn with a ping. Just completely win the board.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then he has Conjurer's Calling on this 7-drop on the following turn.
Oh, yeah. That's... Oh, man.
I was going to say if it sticks to the board, but it just is sticking. There's no way this dies against Priest on this turn.
He could go heal No, you can't anymore. Beaming sidekick, heal inner fire to kill a Tiamat.
Trade, yeah, that's the unlikely part of that turn. The part where Amnesiac does that and trades into a 6/6.
Hey.
I
Need for that
wonder.
kind of language here.
Sorry, did I say the T word?
Yeah. I won't allow the T word, but I will allow the F word. Face.
Face, right, okay. Whew. You nearly set a very dangerous green light there, TJ. I was about to go buck wild.
I mean, apparently you already said it a couple days ago.
I just didn't. If I can. Check the VODs.
I know. So Circle of Healing
Quickly.
can draw a good amount of cards here.
Is someone injured?
In the light's name.
He has to count this hand space. I think this is going to put him... He has to dump one more and then... Circle. This is 4 cards. Did he... Yeah, overdrew
I
1.
got you, friend.
I wonder if he was searching for something for 1 mana or if he just didn't count the cards and didn't realize that he'd be full.
Right.
Because he played the order of operations happened pretty fast, but it seemed like he'd played it last. But it doesn't matter.
I'm convinced Flame Strike seems quite a lot better than the Conjurer's Calling that turn.
Yeah.
Floated the 1 though.
He did float 1 on 5 as well with the polymorph. So this is not a perfect game by any means. Hasn't even played Zephyrus or Reno the Relicologist yet, so...
It's actually a good point. I've said that this curve has been fantastic, but he hasn't played either of the cards that are supposed to be the reason to play this deck in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe this matchup is just the nuts.
I mean, Flame Strike, cool, but Mossy Horror also would have been the nuts last turn.
Yep.
There was a Light Warden that he could have just traded into with the 2/4, but replaced it with the 2/7. So. Wow.
Fr0zen almost sighed there as if, what, he's not, he's still playing? He hasn't given up yet? Okay, I guess we'll play more Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, Amnesiac plays the double silence.
Yep.
Really feeling the nerf right now. Conjurer's Calling was 3. Missed opportunities.
Wait, what do you want to do with 3 mana? Oh, with the Giant, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What to do?
So I'm thinking about
What
Conjurer's
to
Calling
do?
the Pyromancer.
Unity. Precision. Perfection.
He's going to drop out Amnesiac instead. Ooh. Okay. No taunt. Which means this is a big old minion if Amnesiac wants it.
Yeah, but 1 Divine Spirit's gone. And now that he knows that Conjurer's Calling is in hand.
Correct.
Which means that he can't really go in until he's dealing lethal damage.
Yes. And he has 24 this turn?
Seems-
Actually less than that because of the Pyro biting into its own health.
Yeah, it would just be minimal because he could heal the Neverset Ritualist after using the...
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So you go extra arms,
Yep, yep,
beaming sidekick.
Neverset Ritualist then in
Neverset Ritualist. Ah, no, because you have to fit in Divine Spirit there as well.
Yeah, you can still do all that, right?
Yeah, but the Divine Spirit reduces its health before you heal. No, you can, yeah, you
but
can
it
make
doesn't matter.
sidekick, Neverset Ritualist, Divine Spirit, then
Yeah,
Inner Fire.
you just do the Neverset Ritualist as last thing before the Inner Fire.
Yeah.
Hey, I got you, friend.
So he's sacrificing a little bit of damage here just to play the bigger minion in the Injured Blade Master. Makes sense.
Okay. So maybe he thinks he's not going to have board for the remainder of the game, but as we mentioned, he does know that the Conjure's Calling is there since it was used the previous turn, so he's...
Right. Which I think is why, specifically, he wants to play the bigger minion, because if he plays a Nephset Ritualist here, then he loses much more of his board, right? Whereas here he gets to keep 4/6 at the end of the turn instead of a 2/3. Didn't even see what was taken. What was taken? It was Ice Barrier. Makes sense.
That Mana Addict has to be on his mind as something he wants to kill. I guess both Northstar Clerics are gone, so his ability to change spells is pretty limited. Psycho Palm, go!
That's not an Armet. It's pretty good, though.
He doesn't have an Armet, it was Polymorph.
Oh, you're absolutely right, yeah.
Witchwood Piper will pull Zephyrus.
Come dance to my song.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Which will get Shadow Flame.
Also Frost Nova.
Also Defender of Argus.
I mean, that's just a given. You don't even talk about that one. Zephyrus offers you 2 cards and Defender of Argus.
Yeah.
That's just what it does.
So it seems like Shadow Flame is nearly a full clear. He value trades over with the 4/3 into the Intra-Tolvir. Shadow Flames, there's then a 4/3 and 2 2/1s on the board. No, he still leaves 2 minions up, actually.
Just 1, right?
Oh, yeah, because he has 2 attackers. Yeah, he just leaves 1 up.
He has 3 attackers.
Yeah, 2 attackers after this trade happens.
Right. Okay.
So then there's the 4/3, the 2/1 with Taunt, and a 2/1.
Yep.
So he gets to leave up the Reborn Serpently Murkleton.
Yep.
And 2 cards remain for Amnesiac.
You have best.
And that'll be a concede. Fr0zen takes the series 2-0. Moves up to 7-5. Big win for him, considering him and Amnesiac were tied going into this last matchup of the week.
Yeah, Fr0zen having the superior tiebreakers. He started the day, in 3rd. Amnesiac started in 5th, so now picking up that win has stretched out his lead, solidified his bid for playoffs now going into the final week as well.
Yeah, and we still have, I think, a relatively small sample size for Highlander Mage against Priest, but it just seems like it's getting the job done pretty consistently.
You can at least see how the tools line up, right? Like there's a little bit of redundancy here and there where, maybe if he doesn't have the polymorph for the Armet, he has the Voodoo Doll instead because he floated the 1, it was on turn 5. He would have had the ping available. Maybe that's slightly worse because then that last board that I was talking about, maybe that was an Armet that came out of the Psychopomp in that position, and then Shadow Flame isn't good enough to clear the board, and you have to take a Frost Nova, and then your Caligos have to get you out of the position. But still, as I go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, I'm talking about other ways that Mage has counterplay against that situation. So you can kind of see that there are a lot of tools in that Mage deck that can effectively deal with what Priest has to offer.
Yeah, very true. And Fr0zen is now joining us on the line. Fr0zen, can you hear us?
Yo, I can hear you guys. What's up?
Hello. Congratulations on the win. A pretty smooth one. And both players protected Priest, which is a pretty standard for America's Grandmasters. But then you ended up winning the series 2-0 without playing Priest. First off, how does that feel? Second off, was that part of your game plan going into this week?
Yeah, it's kind of been my strat recently. There's been a few series where I just protected Priest and never played Priest, or protected Priest and try to play other stuff. It's just, the thing is, even if you don't queue it first, you still have the Priest that's good, like later.
Yeah.
So, it's like I'm trying to snipe some good matchups before I hit my Priest up there. Like, it's like a very safe feeling when you're like, damn, I'm down. Worst case scenario, I can put my Priest up. That's how I feel a lot of the time.
Yeah, snipe some good matchups before you take your free win. Is that essentially what it boils down to? All right.
Yeah.
So this week you opted to go for Highlander Mage. I know you said that trying to target Priest or at least have good decks against has been your MO. You had Highlander Hunter for I think at least a week. Why settle on the Mage this week?
It's the only deck on the stat sheet that has a favorable versus Priest.
All right.
But the thing is, I think that stat is way overblown, and it's not that favored. It's 55 probably, and I've had a lot of games on ladder and through testing, but I mean I'll take whatever I can get versus Priest at this point.
We have to talk about something, Fr0zen. We can't. There has to be a ray of light somewhere. That something has to beat Priest. We're going to cling to this Mage and hope that it's there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This Mage is it.
Speaking of that, I want to get your opinion on the Warrior matchup as well, because you queued it first, obviously, probably expecting the Priest to come in. Most players disagree on exactly which side of 50-50 that matchup is. What do you consider the matchup to be against Priest?
I actually think my list might be a little bit unfavored. I just think that Warrior is better versus his, in case he thinks that I play Mage first. Because Mage is guaranteed favorite. He might go Holy Wrath, and Warrior is pretty solid across the board. So I thought Warrior would be the safest game 1 queue in terms of not getting a very bad matchup.
Gotcha.
So that's why I queued it instead of it being actually favored.
So you were the one who introduced me, or me at least, maybe other casters as well, to the Azalina Spellword Jeweler.
Oh yeah.
Warrior deck for Malagos counter. ETC did it yesterday.
I saw. I was in
the
chat.
Okay. Were you jealous that he brought that out and
Yeah.
everybody was pogging about it, and you didn't get a chance to show it off this week?
Yeah, but the thing is, I never have the opportunity to do it because my opponents don't always play Malagos Druid.
Okay.
So, if I was for sure playing against someone like Orange or some Malagos Druid enthusiast, I'd be maybe I'll bring it. But my opponents are lame Quest Druid players with nothing spicy. Amnesiac's played the same lineup for 6 weeks in a row. So. Or something like that.
Yeah.
So speaking of Mali Druid enthusiasts, you are the king of the Mali Druid enthusiasts, and I've seen you in chat on multiple occasions, firing shots at other people's Mali Druid play.
Yeah,
Do you have any comments on the Mali Druid play that we saw yesterday, maybe?
Woo!
I thought most of them were okay. I didn't watch the really early ones because it's early morning. Maybe EU APAC something went wrong, but I thought the game Strifecro queued the bat was it Strifecro or whoever versus ETC queued a really bad matchup, right? So
okay, yeah.
I mean he was never gonna win from there, so there's not really anything he could do. That's the only one that I was able to watch, but people didn't know the combo earlier in the weeks, and that was what was wow, these people copy the decks that we bring, and then they don't even know how to set it up. So, I think at this point, the combo is Florist, Innervate, Loop.
Yes.
And then you get the double reduction, and you can guarantee the damage. And, some people in the earlier weeks didn't really know, and they were just going for the 1 in 3. And that was a bit frustrating to watch, but...
Well, it does turn out, Fr0zen, that you don't always need the 80-plus damage to get there. That's probably where players were going wrong, and so this is probably enough.
No, they just didn't. They just didn't know. Trust me, they didn't know.
But in some matchups, I mean, it's not something that you can think of because it's outside the box. It's 11 mana player, right? So people don't think, and also it's the reduction, double reduction. People might not even know that you can't hit the same target. You can't hit at least twice.
Yes.
Without playing this deck a lot. So, but it was during matchups where it actually mattered, Malagos Druid versus Warrior or Malagos Druid versus Paladin when they actually had life. So, it's pretty important.
Fair point, and hopefully, maybe one of these days, we'll get to see you play some Malagos Druid. But today is not that day, but you took the 2-0 anyway. So, Fr0zen, congratulations on the win, and we'll see you back next week.
All right, thank you so much. Hey guys.
A little insight.
I don't know. I was trying to needle some shots out there. Didn't quite work.
He didn't watch some of the games. There was one game on my mind.
I took a risk, you know.
Yeah. I think you have to. So Fr0zen's been a player that can be prodded into
Right, exactly.
Into the shots fired territory.
Yes.
But today is not that day, but he takes a 2-0, and Amnesiac, despite that, very hot middle of the season with 5 match wins in a row, kind of tapered off a little bit. Now back to the 50% win rate at 6-6 at the end of this week. So playoff spot not guaranteed for him, and he's going to have to fight back in the final week of regular season if he wants to secure that spot.